Start by telling you that the federal government has directed the Minister of State for Defense, Dr. Bello Matawalle, and other military chiefs to move to Sokoto State to tackle the menace of banditry, kidnapping, and terrorism in the northwest region. This is part of an intensified effort to restore peace and security in the area. Dr. Bello Matawalle stated commitment to flushing out Bello Turji and his gang, as well as other criminal elements terrorizing the region. Now, the federal government said it is deeply concerned about the persistent threat posed by banditry and terrorism, and they are ready to deploy all necessary assets to ensure peace is restored in their communities. Matawalle emphasized the need for urgent action against the terrorists to enable people to move freely. He assured the people of Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara, and Kebbi states, as well as the entire northwest region, that the security forces will leave no stone unturned in flushing out the bandits. The Minister of State for Defense and other military chiefs are expected to supervise operations in the northwest and ensure the success of this intensified efforts. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima says federal government's health sector reforms have secured over $4.8 billion in potential investments. He made this known during the commissioning and grand opening of Sahad hospitals in Abuja. The Vice President said this significant investment is part of the Tinubu administration's commitment to revitalizing Nigeria's healthcare system. He also outlined a comprehensive strategy aimed at addressing long-standing challenges and advancing Nigeria's healthcare system. Shettima said the health sector reforms under the Tinubu administration are supported by the robust roadmap designed to tackle persistent issues that have affected the system for decades. The nation's fuel shortage appears to have worsened, especially in Lagos, as filling stations run out of stock, thus shutting their gates against motorists and other users of the product. Checks by News Central showed there were long queues at filling stations with commercial stocks of the product as panic buying continued across the state. Igbalani Omoni reports.
It's been over 3 weeks, and despite assurances from the National Oil Company that things will get better, most filling stations across Lagos still do not have petrol, which is a product they want. The ones that are selling have had their premises filled up with motorcycles, tricycles, jerrycan buyers, and even people here with the tank of their generator set just to purchase petrol.
One filling station selling petrol at 618 naira per litre was crowded with buyers seeking cheaper fuel.
This fuel is a composite demand. As composite demand is because as the fuel rises, other things will rise. You understand? It seems that it is this fuel that owns Nigeria.
Livelihood is very, very difficult in the country now. So the fuel availability is very, very poor. I don't know whether they are hoarding the fuel or something, but at the moment, people are not happy.
I'm supposed to go to church, at least worship my God, because today is a new month. But I came with my uncle for me to get fuel. But you can see what is going on. People are not happy. We are not impressed. Things is not moving fine.
The NNPC attributed the shortage to distribution challenges, but failed to provide a clear explanation for the prolonged scarcity, now in its 5th week in Lagos and surrounding areas. Motorists are forced to rely on black marketers who sell fuel at exorbitant prices, exacerbating the situation. Attempts to maintain a one-lane policy have not improved traffic flow, with dualized roads experiencing bottlenecks. As the new week begins, Lagos residents continue to struggle with fuel scarcity, traffic congestion, and economic hardships, all while facing silence from the federal government. The situation remains a source of frustration and concern for the public. In Lagos for News Central, I am Igbalani Omoni.
Following the ongoing fuel crisis nationwide, Filling stations have remained crowded in major mega fuel stations in Asaba, the Delta State capital, as motorists call for the immediate sack of the Group Managing Director of NNPCL, Mele Kyari. Although some filling stations were still shut, others continued to sell for as high as 850 naira and 950 naira per litre. News Central correspondent Austin Azu completes the report.
There have been a biting scarcity of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, across the country for over a month, with the product selling for over 1,000 naira in some places before now. In Asaba, Delta State capital, the long queues remain at the major mega fuel stations within Asaba and environs.
We buy 950 for here, my brother. You buy 957. If na metal be correct metal, it will be the. You carry them from here reach here, you don't finish.
We are buying at the cost of 815 euro. That's what we are buying, and it's so cost. It's not easy.
While the pump price varies from one fuel station to another, some individuals prefer getting their products from a particular fuel station, irrespective of the price.
Why I buy for here now? Be say, for one day my keke, it don't nearly finish. We dey go church. Out of emergency, sometimes they sell 850. But if you hold you now, no option. You must buy for the nearest place.
591, compared to some that are selling for 975, 880, and all that. So it's obvious. This one is cheaper. Outside their price, their quality is equally good.
Commuters and motorists continued to express their frustrations and anger over the continuous hike in products and called on the NNPCL, which is the sole importer and supplier of the products in the country, to crash the price and make it available for Nigerians.
Everybody's suffering there. The country is very bad because of fuel. They use the money we take the heat, they buy fuel. The thing is too much. We not feed them make for our business again. Everything is very bad. If you work finish, you go use our money we work to buy fuel. We not feed the chop sell. What they feed the pay as rent.
Oh, the hardship in this country started from because of the high price of fuel.
They should sack the Mele Kyari NNPC boss. They should sack him out and bring a fresh blood. If you watch some analysis, they said NNPC has no business doing, has no business doing this. These are bottlenecks, bureaucratic bottlenecks that are stalling this. They should remove him there and put you. We are suffering in this country.
For the past few weeks, residents of Delta State have been going through harrowing experiences just to buy fuel to power their vehicles, tricycles, motorcycles, and generators. In Asaba, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
In Nigeria's northeast, motorists and residents of Maiduguri are expressing growing concern over the uneven pricing of petrol. The disparity between official filling stations and cheaper black market sources is creating an unsettling environment for the people. News Central's Umari Kirawa assesses the petrol situation in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, and now reports.
Motorists troop in their numbers to purchase petrol in black market spots.
Da ina sha full tank ne, amma yanzu ina shan lita 4, lita 2, wanda karfi ga yara ga makaranta duk wayannan abubuwa ga sadan rayuwa.
Gidan mai muna siya wani lokaci 1000 har da yankai ko kuma 987, amma a black market akan iya samun shi a 900, 850.
That state is a very nice state, but honestly it's nice in the sense of accommodation is cheap here. But the other things of fuel, look at them suffering of fuel, no work.
Idan akwai rabon shiryuwa su shiryu mu samu sauki, Allah ya shiryar da su. Idan kuma babu wannan, Ubangiji ya san abin da zai mana da su, Allah ya mana maganin su.
Zai ga titi kamar an sa dokan ta ɓace ba kowa, ko tafiya mai yanzu zamu je mu ce zamu je Kaduna State, ba za mu iya zuwa ba fasinja a hanya.
Disparity in prices across different filling stations, with some black market spots offering cheaper rates, has caused widespread confusion and frustration among drivers.
Gwamnati an gudu yana kala kan dawo da wuzu a lera bana su duk kan dawo da su sa jama mi ubule san maso kala kan dawrin wahala sosai
ande megara moto masa le dayar arakin pyak tulurin no goda ande kala yar uskun pion yar uskro salare ande yalla ran pion no lere
mega sun mana kadan a Borno State mega ya wuci biyar a kullum bare wuci ka samu mega guda biyu uku ba idan muka samu mega 7 8 a bude on saukin mai ya samu ko ta ne da samu sauki da sai har 750
almost in kai galan hudu wannan ma kana da kusan 20,000 naka 30 alhamdulillah ana samun kudi wallahi tallahi in ka ce baka samun kudi a jingala ƙarya ne.
NNPCL filling stations visited by New Central crew in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, are closed while other filling stations dispense the product at 1,000 naira. Others are selling for 970 naira, with just one station selling as low as 880.
Inda za mu rinka samu da sauki kamar sauran gidajen man su rinka sayarwa kamar fine filling, to ba za mu rinka shan wahalan da muke sha irin wannan ba.
Na sha mai kusan lita 40 na moto nan. So kaga za mu samu masu hannu da shuni za su yi irin wayannan taimakon gaskiya za mu dan rage radadi da muke ji a cikin wannan kasar.
800 wani abu ai mun samu tunda bayan da zamu na gwamnatin da sun rufe gashi na arfe mun kwana a layi amma da safe sun boye man su NNPC din suna so sai an kawo wani sai su siyar mu black market wancan.
This situation has led to fears of price manipulation and calls for regulatory intervention to ensure fair pricing across all distribution channels. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
More than 10,000 people have been displaced and farmlands and properties worth millions of naira have been destroyed following weeks of intense rainfall in Gumi local government area, Zamfara State. Emir of Gumi, Hassan Lawal, made this known during an on-the-spot assessment visit by Governor Dauda Lawal. According to the Emir, more than 10,000 people have been affected. The governor sympathized with the flood victims and announced an immediate relief package including 10,000 bags of assorted grains, mosquito nets and blankets. He also pledged to address long-term flood management by constructing new drainage systems, repairing existing dams and potentially building additional ones to prevent future disasters. We go on a break now. When we return, NDLEA seizes 17.9 billion naira worth of narcotics in Lagos, Rivers. We'll bring you details and more after the break. Away from that, Nigeria's planned bank recapitalization is expected to boost the country's gross domestic product. According to Professor Pius Olarenwaju, the 23rd president and chairman of the Council, Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, the banking industry is rapidly evolving and professionals must embrace technology and continuous learning to stay ahead. He emphasized the need for excellence in banking operations and urged bankers to adopt a growth mindset, understand the evolving landscape, and build a strong personal brand. The recapitalization plan is seen as a positive development for the economy, and industry leaders are optimistic about its impact. Earlier, Kenneth Ikenwa, business and public policy analyst, joined us on the news.
But when it comes to economics and when it comes to repositioning economy in the financial sector, you don't embark on such with feelings. All right, so there are a couple of enablers, a couple of benefits that are supposed to be an outcome of all of this. And amongst this, or factors that are responsible for this decision, first is notably the fact that the currency has been devalued by over 300% in the last 2, 3, 4 years. And it's very important that banks are recapitalized so that they can play the role they're supposed to play in the economy, to stimulate the economy, to be able also to fund real sector and to fund trade. So the inability of the Nigerian banking sector, and especially the commercial banks, to actually contribute in funding the real sector and in funding trade is one of the reasons why this decision has been taken.
Still talking economy, an economist, Adetilewa Adebajo, has said that it is now evident that the cart was put before the horse as reforms in Nigeria were implemented too quickly, devoid of adequate planning and resources, leading to unintended consequences. In a report titled, "Has Anyone Seen a Giant?" Mr. Adebajo, entrepreneurial transaction business manager and CEO at the CFG Advisory, explains that the credibility of the reform program of the President Bola Tinubu-led administration is now in question and a state of quagmire. Now, according to him, he had advised Nigerians in January this year to be prepared to endure an 18-month economic recovery period that will be accompanied by a high interest rate regime to tame inflation and FX volatility. Mr. Adebajo advised that the federal government needs to reset urgently, communicate the benefits of the reform to the stakeholders, and deliver tangible results by year end. He maintains that the sell down of oil assets to raise $50 billion to ease the debt burden and refinance NNPC for sustained revenue and FX availability is long overdue. To further discuss this, I'm joined by Dr. Nnemeka Onyeka Obiariri, development economist and investment banking executive. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
So as of January this year, you presented what has turned out to be, a bullseye prediction of accurate Nigerian economic forecast. What gave you the insight?
I have been long in this industry as an investment banking executive of over 23 years standing. So I clearly understand how to study and read the market. I understand the fundamentals, the cause and the effect of policy and program decisions, and where it may ultimately lead. So, but basically, I also do not agree with those that stated that the government put the cart before the horse. As at the time President Tinubu became president, it was imperative and urgent that those reforms was executed the time he executed it. Remember, he inherited a country that had an external debt position of about $41 billion, up from $10 billion level when Buhari became president. He inherited domestic debt of over 26 trillion naira, and then there is ways and means of 23 trillion that was not even securitized. So practically Nigeria was bleeding, and we had a multiple exchange rate regime that created an arbitrage window for the few Nigerians to make this country. If you look through the history, between 2015 to 2023, Nigeria had massive inflows of over $630 billion across all the forex sources, an outflow of $450 billion, which practically means that net will have had Naira stabilized at that level it was when Buhari became president, if there were no leakages, criminality, and corruption. But Naira lost so much value because most of the 3 trillion Naira that were printed, we are used to pursue the Naira through all manner of games. So what President Tinubu did, the two policies, we are spot on. Removing FX subsidy, petroleum subsidy, and managing those markets. But one thing they did not do was that they did not back it up with the right leadership and institutional reforms that will have made it to work and yield quick positive impacts. Remember, in 2018, 2019, the current GMD of NNPC made a promise that the refineries will start working before Buhari handed over on May 29, 2023. And on the strength of those promises, I want to believe the president was in a hurry and he announced removal of subsidy with the belief that those refineries will have been working by the time he kicks into office. But unfortunately, those refineries, even up to today, it has not worked. And then on the upstream sector, if Nigeria had been producing 2.5 million barrels of crude oil a day, as we had it before Buhari became president, we will have had enough FX inflow to cushion the effect of the removal of the margin of the foreign exchange market. But these two intervention actions that will have helped quicken the positive effect of those policies, we are not taking. And it is not yet too late. Where I agree with Adetilewa is the issue of the fact that it's a high time that will restructure the oil and gas sector, divest the federal government shareholding in the NPC from 100% to 30%, sell 30% of the 70% to 3 core investors with technical capacities, and there's 40% to Nigerians, both at home and in diaspora, and then list the new NNPC on the floor of the exchange to make it as efficient as possible. We will do this. and do an IPO of $20 billion, we'll be able to unlock $60 billion that will help us to further stabilize the economy. The CBN is doing their best.
All right, Dr.
aspect.
Obiareri. Now, let's talk specifics. You already touched a bit on, the floating of the Naira. But let's talk about, looking at the core of the President Tinubu reform, which we're talking about. We're going to be specifying about removal of fuel subsidy and floating of the local currency as well. How do you think they could have done better without, the current pains that Nigerians are actually facing at the moment?
And that's exactly the same thing I'm trying to say. The policies, what they will have done from day one. Now, I want to look at the actions of Yemi Cardoso at the CBN and the actions of the fiscal managers in the oil and gas industry, and you will see what I'm trying to put across. When Yemi Cardoso assumed office at the CBN, the first thing he did was to restructure the institutional arrangement in that place. And he did a massive clear out. Most of the heads of department, agencies, and leadership as central bank, over 200 people were laid off immediately. Remember, he inherited $7 billion unpaid LCs. He had to sort out the issues of the ones that he wanted to do. He quickly paid down on $5 billion. And you could see that 5% of the problems we have in Nigeria can only be tackled through the monetary policy. For currently, he has been able to stabilize FX to a certain level. But his job is being hampered by those on the fiscal side. If from day one, when Mr. President assumed office, he had done a massive institutional overhaul at the NNPC, at the NNDPRA, at the Ministry of Petroleum Ministry, and sacked most of the remnants of the Buhari Kankawom era, and replaced them with people who has capacity, just like Yemi Cardoso did at the CBN. By now, we will have started seeing massively the positive effects of the removal of petroleum subsidy and the margin of the foreign exchange market.
Okay, but what about the raising of $50 billion to ease the debt burden, refinancing, of the NNPCL for sustained revenue and FX availability? What about that?
It's a solution that some of us have put forward since 2015. The only way for us to move forward, of course, before you carry out such institutional reforms, you have to clear out the remnants of the old regime. You cannot put new wine in an old wine bottle. Basically, the first thing the president must do, I support that suggestion. I've always been an advocate of us selling down our holding. Brazil did it. Basically, what Mr. President should do, clear out the mass of leadership remnants that were left behind at NNPC. Appoint credible, honest, competent, and the men of integrity in the leadership position at NNPC and NNDPRA. When you have done this, appoint book runners, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Stanbic IBTC, Denham Chapel Group. Put them together. What they will do simply is to start the process of unbundling the NNPC, working with the new leadership at NNPC. Federal government should sell down 70. NNPC today is valued at about $60 billion. Selling down 70% of the federal government share with NNPC to investors and doing IPO of $20 billion will bring in over $60 billion into our economy. This $60 billion will help us to repay some of the debt that we are owing, help us to stabilize foreign exchange market and price stability, and again, help us now to reposition the NNPC in such a position that it can actually go out there and raise funds and begin to explore and begin to increase crude oil output and begin to make those fires work. We have all manner of criminality in the system because the system that we currently operate at NNPC is very opaque. And Mr. President can do this. And that is why we beg him every day. The weakest link in his cabinet and his government is the Petroleum Ministry, is NNPC, is NNDPRA. So he must take urgent steps to carry out the same reforms, institutional shake-up that Yemi Cardoso did at CBN, at NNPC, and NNDPRA, so as to allow Nigerians benefit from the very audacious reforms that he executed.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Obiareri, for joining us and speak to us on this.
Thank you for having me.
With that, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the End Bad Governance protests and how New Central's town hall meeting has sparked a national conversation. Stay with us. And now to our special report. There are indications that the hashtag End Bad Governance protest is yet to come to an end. This is as civil society organizations, human rights activists and lawyers thronged the Yar'Adua Center at the nation's capital Abuja to express their views on the protests and government's response to their demands. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
News Central's television lead correspondent Bernard Akede welcoming participants to the Abuja Town Hall meeting following the aftermath of the End Bad Governance protest. The session, a partnership with the TAP initiative, was an opportunity for all on both sides of the divide, sought to fund unanswered questions to the complex questions of citizens' demands and appropriate answers being presented by government. Respondents did not mince words when describing how they were treated during the protest by the government-sanctioned security operatives.
People feel like as if they've been pushed to the wall so much that they have no alternative but to strike back. And we are fast approaching that level of intervention.
They are citizens of they have different passports. They build hotels that have several flags. Maybe we should start shutting down their hotels and charging the others, which is some of them, for tourism. They came in with a machine that tracked his phone. And so we are wondering why they have not tracked terrorists till now, if they have such machines. And they took him out alongside the other occupants of the apartment, tied their hands to the back with blindfolds for 16 hours, drove them around for 16 hours, and then dumped them at the police IRT. And that place is known for its cruelty. We saw the presidency saying, look, it's Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi that were fronting these things. Meanwhile, those people never even so much as even mentioned about the protest call. Why? And then the next thing they now switch it to, no, it was faceless and leaderless. So what? Omoyele Sowore is faceless, and Shaolutu one is faceless, myself standing here, I'm faceless.
Some describe the current administration as being insensitive, saying they have continued to view every agitation from the lens of oppositional politics, disregarding the genuine calls for change and reforms.
The system is happy when you embrace violence. It's always very happy. It legitimizes its own reflexive recourse to violence against those who demand change. So if you are protesting in Nigeria, always keep in mind that the person to whom you presume to protest is incapable of hearing you.
Let us look at the unity of this country. There was an issue of the militants in the South. President Yar'Adua then sorted it out by talking to them, organizing them, and rehabilitating and giving so many scholarships. It came to the, we had the bandits or the insurgency in the north. Some people who have said we have killed thousands of people, you are rehabilitating them. But you have Nnamdi Kanu in prison. How many people did he kill?
They vow to continue to hold government accountable, saying that the anger of Nigerian youth, comprising of citizens mostly below the age of 30, will not be deterred by threats and the continuous unleashing of security operatives on citizens, but might force another round of protest during the next Independence Day celebrations.
If you wanted to have a change in the government, you allow it to come naturally, and that is what is happening now. So the revolution or any other good thing for this country it will come naturally, and it's coming now. If we decide we can start this action today, and if we decide we can start the action on October 1 or whatever, as a matter of fact, when the 10 days of those days of protest started, people have even started protesting before August 1.
The meeting was not just about expressing their discontent about the protest, but also offered an opportunity for those in attendance to make recommendations to government.
People have talked about the need to restructure and all that. People have talked about the period when we had regionalism, when each region was allowed to develop at its own pace and all that.
Our constitution cannot drive that change. The current constitution we have. Because for things to happen, you need a legal and regulatory framework. The legal and regulatory framework we have is the 1999 Constitution as amended. And it says the people. But which people?
News Central's managing director and editor-in-chief also assured citizens of the commitment of the station to be objective, independent, and unbiased in its quest to stand for truth and present factual information to citizens.
Will be the platform that is the voice, the eyes, and the ears of the people. That is absolute. There's no discussion about it. There's no debate about it. I believe that the people have a right to be heard under any circumstance and in all situations. Everybody should have a voice. Everybody should be heard.
The conversation continues with the hope that the issues raised will be addressed by the appropriate authorities. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
The African Education Initiative has called on Nigerians with means to embrace the culture of giving so that they can support underprivileged children in need. This was as members of the initiative visited the Mother Teresa Children's Home in Abuja, where they presented essentials for the children comprising food items and educational materials, amongst others. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, was there and completes the report.
May God bless all of you. Thank you so much.
It's a heartwarming day for the children here at this orphanage. The visit by the African Education Initiative was an opportunity to present foodstuffs, clothing, educational materials, and toiletries. The children received special treats from staff of the initiative, as they also spent quality time with them as a show of love and to assure them that they are not being forgotten.
Our mission is to help with healthcare and education for Africa's children. And part of it is ensuring that we give resources and supplies for children, especially children that are underprivileged. And for the last few years, we have been supporting this particular orphanage here in Abuja.
With the objective of the initiative set to support and reduce the challenges that orphans and less privileged children face, the founder of the African Education Initiative called for continued support for vulnerable children.
Yeah, so I know there's a high rate of inflation in Nigeria now, and I know that it's much more difficult for children and students to be in school. Our foundation also has a scholarship program that we offer to students, and we have been doing that for the last 21 years as well. And frankly, you know, just helping one or two children, and anyone can do it. You don't have to have a foundation to do it. Can actually help these children and students be their best.
Thrilled by the provision of essential items to the orphanage, the managing director called for more support from Nigerians with means.
We appreciate every single donation. We appreciate them. They've been coming for over 6 years now, so we're really thankful for them. Our wish at the moment is if we could get solar inverters, because at the end of the day, diesel costs money, NEPA meter cards also run high, so if we can get solar panel inverters, we'll really appreciate it.
The African Education Initiative, a United States-based non-profit organization, is hoping that its gesture of goodwill can go a long way to support these children. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has seized narcotics valued at 17.9 billion naira in major operations at the One and Tinkan seaports in Lagos and Rivers. NDLEA spokesman Femi Babafemi said the haul included over 31 million pills of tramadol, 225 milligrams and 730,000 bottles of codeine-based syrup. The seizures followed intelligence on shipments originating from India, prompting a 100% joint examination of the containers by NDLEA, Customs, and other security agencies. At Tinkan Port, Lagos, 350,000 bottles of codeine syrup were recovered from 2 containers on August 29 and 30. Meanwhile, at Port Harcourt's One Port, NDLEA operatives intercepted over 29 million tramadol pills and 380,000 bottles of codeine syrup from 3 containers on August 29. Away from Nigeria, Senegalese Prime Minister Usman Sonko has accused his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu of prolonging the war in Gaza for his own political survival and called for the isolation of Israel. Speaking at a rally in support of the Palestinian cause at Dakar's Grand Mosque, Sonko said Netanyahu's grip on power is reliant on the ongoing conflict and suggested that the Israeli leader is willing to sacrifice countless lives to maintain his position. Algeria's finance minister has announced that the country has been approved for membership in the BRICS New Development Bank. The decision was made on Saturday and announced by NDB President Dilma Rousseff during a meeting in Cape Town, South Africa. In a statement released on Sunday, Algeria's finance ministry stated that joining the NDB, the financial arm of the BRICS group, marks a significant step in Algeria's integration into the global financial system. The BRICS Bank, founded by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, was established as an alternative to traditional international financial institutions such as the World Bank and IMF. The bank has recently expanded its membership, welcoming countries including Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. On World Rap, Pope Francis has expressed his solidarity with the people of Ukraine who are suffering greatly due to the ongoing war with Russia. During his Sunday Angelus prayer in St. Peter's Square, the Pope said he stands in solidarity with the suffering Ukrainian people who are heavily impacted by attacks on energy infrastructures. He highlighted the devastating consequences which have left over 1 million people without access to electricity and water. The Pope's words come as the conflict continues to escalate, causing widespread humanitarian suffering in Ukraine. And with that, business news comes up next. Stay with us.
In business, the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises, CPPE, has urged the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, not to adopt a price control mindset to tackle inflationary pressures. CPPE CEO Muda Yusuf gave the advice in a statement on Sunday in Lagos, expressing concerns over the approach, methodology, and recent threats by the FCCPC targeted at market leaders, traders, and supermarket owners. He stated that the approach made the FCCPC appear to be unwittingly transforming into a price control agency rather than a consumer protection commission. Yusuf said the best way to protect consumers from exploitation theoretically and empirically was to promote competition across sectors diligently. Still in Nigeria, the National Association of Nigeria Travel Agencies, NANTA, is set to meet with representatives of Emirates to deliberate on the airline's decision to sell tickets in dollars to Nigerians. The former president of NANTA, Susan Akpodoriaye, expressed frustration over the situation, saying, and I quote, "Emirates cannot come out in the open and say they want to sell in dollars without authorization. They will be sanctioned. Transactions in Nigeria should be done in a local currency. That is the law." End of quote. She further stated that part of the condition the airline gave to return to Nigeria was to sell their tickets in dollars, and according to her, she said that the government agreed to this. And finally, in East Africa, banks in Kenya are charging average interest rates of between 9 and 20.96% for loans before factoring in borrowers' credit profiles. The latest commercial bank's weighted average lending rate report by the Central Bank of Kenya, CBK, shows that Premier Bank Kenya is the least costly lender at 9%, way below the base lending rate of 12.75%. Middle East Bank has the most expensive loans in the country, averaging 20.96%. The Nigeria-based Access Bank, which plans to acquire the National Bank of Kenya from KCB Group plc, is the second cheapest lender in the country, charging an average interest rate of 11.37%. And that's our offering on the news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly.
Up next is sports news. In the world of sport, President of the Para-Powerlifting Federation of Nigeria, Charles Ezewanne, has expressed strong confidence in Nigerian athletes competing at the Paris Paralympic Games. Speaking on News Central's premier sports show, In the Game, Ezewanne noted that the athletes are in high spirit and have undergone thorough preparation in training camps in Germany and Nigeria ahead of the Games. He believes they are well prepared to represent the country with pride.
I was with PCM President yesterday and the Secretary General, and we met with some athletes. My view is that this Paralympic is going to be it's only four federations that qualified for this Paralympics.
Indeed.
That is para badminton, para table tennis, para athletics, and para powerlifting. These four federations that are here to represent Nigeria will make us proud. Well, all of them have been in camp. We interacted with some of them yesterday. They are with the high spirits. They believe they are going to do the best.
Nigeria's Faith Obazuaye was defeated by China's Wen Xuantian in the round of 16 of the women's singles para table tennis class 10 event on Sunday. Tian showcased a dominant performance, securing the win in straight sets with the scores of 11-4, 11-8, and 11-3. This victory propels Tian into the quarterfinal, while Obazuaye's tournament journey comes to a halt. Nigeria's Eniola Bolaji was defeated by China's Chao Zunqian in the women's singles SL3 para badminton semi-final on Sunday. Despite a strong performance, Bolaji lost 2-0, just falling short of advancing to the final and competing for the gold medal. However, she will have a chance to win a medal when she returns to the court on Monday to face Ukraine's Oksana Kozner in the bronze medal match. Black Stars head coach Otto Addo, alongside his assistants John Penstel and Fatal Dauda, narrowly escaped serious injury in a car accident at the Takwa Takoradi Road in Ghana. The trio were returning to Ghana after attending a match between FC Samatex and Nswat 3-Man FC at the new TNA Sports Stadium on Saturday. They were en route to prepare for Ghana's upcoming 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. The Black Stars are scheduled to kick off their campaign against Angola on Thursday, September 5, 2024, at the Babayara Sports Stadium. Finally, in the world of sport, Luis Diaz scored twice as Liverpool defeated Manchester United in a 3-0 Premier League win at Old Trafford. The Colombian capitalized on 2 errors by Casemiro in the first half, before Mohamed Salah made it 3 early in the second. The win maintains Liverpool's perfect start to the season and heaps pressure on Erik ten Hag, whose team have lost back-to-back games. Liverpool are now seated second on the Premier League table, just level on point with Manchester City, who lead the pack with 9 points. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaro. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that federal government deploys defense minister, military chiefs to Sokoto. We also told you that NDLEA seizes 17.9 billion naira worth of narcotics in Lagos rivers. Finally, you heard that Algeria joins BRICS New Development Bank. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen. Usman.